back to the terrace garden. I've been meaning to do a garden tour for the longest time, and it's always changing, it's always evolving, so there is no finished, with the exception of the fact that it's the end of October. Frost is looming, and it's the end of the season. Here in Lancaster County, we are in zone 6B, and last night temperatures dropped to about 35. I'll start out front. These are my two JFE Black Madeira Knot trees, 2021. 2022. You've heard me talk about those quite a bit. They are cold tolerant. If I had enough room, I might plant them in ground. Going out in the morning, I can smell both of those trees right away. It has that tropical kind of a scent to the leaves that I really love. This is a Smith. This came from Threefold Farm in Mechanicsburg. It did have more fruit on it, but during one of the tropical storms, it dropped most of it. It was also girdled when I got it. The roots went around the pot a couple of times, so I did tease it for long-term gain, knowing that there would be a consequence later. These are two trees that I'm probably going to end up giving away. These were both propagated this season. This is a longitude that I propagated as a green cutting to see if it would take. You can check out the video that I did on those. This is an LSU Tiger that was a successful air layer. The tree is really unruly, so rather than prune, I just air layered it. If we take this little path through the flower garden, it'll take us back to the terrace garden around the side of the house. This is where I spend most of my time when it comes to gardening. Now, I've done nothing for the video at all. This is as it is. I'm just running out of the season here. It's just always changing, so there's never really a done. Show you the view out there. Some of the Lancaster County landscape out in the distance. Lots of silos, rolling farmland for miles. That view is why we live here. It is mainly south-facing, so even though we're between two buildings, it gets a lot of sun. In the wine world, they call that the aspect. The middle of the garden is left open for airflow to help dry any moisture, try to keep disease at a minimum, something I picked up from one of the stories I did for the column. That's kind of how this all started. I have a monthly food column in Lancaster County Magazine, and it's in its 5th year. I write and photograph everything. This garden was really the answer to where do I keep all of the oddities and curiosities I've collected, starting with these 3 figs. It's just kind of grown from there. It's really nice having fresh herbs and fruit, berries to kind of come out and pick at. A couple of other key points about the garden. The block wall over here on the left radiates a lot of light and warmth. The sun in the morning will bounce off the 2 walls. This is also getting western wind protection. It even gets evening light. In October, it's pretty low. In the spring, it'll come around beaming above those trees. There was not much here to look at. This was basically vacant, more or less like that, except the weeds came up higher into the yard. These 3 tall fig trees on the left were propagated in the winter of 2021. They needed a place to live, and this is where they ended up. I added mulch, 2.5 to 3 cubic yards of mulch. It was still really hard to get around, so I installed the dirt locker system. This is a really awesome terracing system. You actually start installation at the top and work your way down. I started with 20 dirt lockers and ended up with 40. I do have room to continue. I have Vinca minor growing down there next to that steeplechase arborvitae row. Here you can get a profile of the terracing, the dirt locker system. I have a couple of videos online about that. Some other early inclusions. I have a rain barrel hiding back here. Gravity does all the work. I don't have to haul water anymore. I'm not using any treated water. There's no chlorine. It doesn't overflow. Because I'm at the top of the hill, gravity does its job, and I just run that hose anywhere down the hill. One oddity is that certain conditions are met with air temperature and humidity. There will be condensation on that stone. It took me a while to realize it is not a leak. I have my compost bin. There's what the compost looks like at the moment. Doesn't smell at all. Hardwood chips that I got from a mill worker friend of mine. Not sure where they're going to live just yet. Over here on the side, I have Cascade hops following down the line. There are a bunch of berries. This is all gold. They're gorgeous. So bright, refreshing. There's actually one on here yet. These are delicious, generally pretty sweet. Minor tartness. Anybody who comes over, everyone loves them. I've yet to have anybody say, no, that's not for me. I have a blackberry and then 3 blueberry bushes further down the line. These were steps that I installed before the dirt locker. They're a little loose. So far, I'm leaving them. I kept them mainly because it helps with getting to this left side of the garden. LSU Tiger. LDA so far. Very productive, really starting to come into its own. Got a little time left here. Some of these might be about ready. The ants found that one, says honey at the bottom. I have an air layer that I started, and I was a little reluctant to haul it because there is a fig on top, but that might need to happen before too long. It might even be a little too late. Down here is unknown dark Sicilian. This was a fig that Bill Loris found while driving home from work. It was brought over from, of course, Sicily, I think around 1972. The home that it was planted in was sold. He wanted to put a swimming pool in. Bill was not going to take it until one day he saw it on the way home. They dug the tree up, sitting alongside the road. Thankfully, he saved it. These are much smaller. Really only one so far looks like it even has a chance. And this carpenter bee's been here for a couple of days, just kind of hanging out, dealing with the cold, waving hello. While I'm at this angle, this is the unknown dark Sicilian. You can see the dieback from last winter. Has kind of a different shade to it. I will probably prune that once the leaves drop. Let's go to the bottom so you can look up the hill. These were split from another plant 5-6 times in the middle of summer. It's done all right, trying to help cut back on erosion here. The steps were added also mid-season. They're really nice. They help people know where to walk, and the arbor kind of shows the way forward. This is horseradish that I was gifted from someone that I'm doing a story with for my food column on saffron, and this has been in his family, just like saffron, for a really long time. I've not dug any up yet, but I'm pretty happy with how it took. Here I have chives growing. Next up the line, a bit of hyssop, and this is going to be harder to see, but you look very closely. That is saffron. That was also a gift from my friend Justin, so we'll see how they do. I ended up finding more and bought it. That's planted at the top. All of them have come up. I'm really kind of shocked. Moro Bianco. It has a variegated wood and a variegated fruit. It also has a sibling that had a variegated leaf. Unfortunately, all the heavy rains took care of the fruit, so that'll be for another day. This is also off the beaten path discovery, Terrace. I propagated this one in the spring. It did not want to root to save its life. I could not get the humidity right. Somewhere around May, I got desperate, took it outside, and off it went. Kind of amazing. This is a variety I really wanted to do well from all the cuttings that I bought last winter. That is chamomile. This is marjoram, kind of like oregano, maybe a little more minty. This is a Adriatic JH. There you can see one of the leaves I just took for drying. Adriatic JH really lignified. There you can see the original cutting, dead rot on top. They have kind of a sheen to them, which so does the Stromatolins Green Greek, which is up the hill here. These were also propagated this spring. Sister Madeline's Green Greek, you can see it's starting to lignify. The Terrace is really lignifying. None of those had figlets this season. This is an LSU tiger I propagated over the winter. I learned not to take cuttings early in the winter. It should be done in the fall. The cuttings were really dry. One of the 5 held on, and it got down to one node, an area of concentrated cells that will either branch or root. One tiny little node, the darn thing rooted and put out new leaves from the same node and held on. I thought it was done for. Skipping back down here, I have a common sage, rosemary. Absolutely love rosemary. And then, because they were really pretty, purple and a golden sage. They have not taken off quite as quickly, but I did plant them later. If you wait until midsummer, you can find a lot of herbs at nurseries and greenhouses for like $1. They have kiwi berry, red beauty, and September sun. They're both Arctic kiwi varieties. These have already dropped leaves. They came from New York, so I think they had some cold on them before I got to them. These are from the Paw Paw Festival. This is the male variety. Yeah, Arctic beauty. They'll cover over the arbor. Some lingonberries growing. Here's the other saffron I mentioned. It's starting to come in. I planted this about a week or 2 ago. I am very shocked at how quickly it's coming up. It's worth more than its weight in gold. It's the most expensive spice in the world. Here I have variegated lemon thyme. This I've had forever. It's been transplanted at least once or twice. It has a really beautiful flavor and aroma. If you're looking for a quick way to defoliate thyme, if you freeze it and then run your finger up the stem, all the leaves will pop off. This is an English thyme. What's great about these dirt lockers, they really retain water, and I can treat the soil differently in each. Okay, it is October, and there are flowers. This is an ever-bearing strawberry. It's not really established yet. Even in this weather, it's still fruiting. Kind of amazing. So looking forward to watching that fill in. This is Greek oregano, and then I have a variegated oregano over here in this spot. Here you can really see the leaves are turning yellow from the cold. This is LDA. You can see the original cutting on the left there. That was part of the original branch, and this has gotten fairly thick over time. And I have another lingonberry here as an understory item. So there you have it, small but mighty. None of this was usable land. It was really difficult to maintain, and it has become one of my favorite parts of our home. Is that a little bird? Yeah, that was a blue jay. Little bugger was after my figs. Maybe I should pick these. Actually, I think I'll just cover them up with a bag. This one is ready. The others aren't quite there yet. Not enough hang time. So yeah, there's the full tour. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.